He who reacts is already ruled. Niccolò Machiavelli. There was a night I couldn't sleep. I was staring into the dark when he showed up again. Machiavelli. In that dream that didn't feel like a dream. He looked at me, straight into my chest, and said, "The man who gets irritated has already surrendered his crown." I woke up in silence thinking, how many times a day do we give away our throne? Just to be liked, just to be understood. This is not a motivational video. This is a confrontation. If you're here to reign over yourself, stay. Let's begin. People don't irritate you. You irritate yourself. You react. You interpret. You expect. And when the world doesn't match your mental script, you fall apart. Most people wake up frowning, not because someone hurt them, but because their mind is trying to control everything it never could. A badly timed word, a gesture that feels off, a decision that doesn't go your way, and suddenly you're spiraling, frustrated, offended, uncomfortable, as if the entire world owes you emotional compensation. That's when he appears, Machiavelli, sitting quietly in my mind, sharpening a dagger of truth. And he says, it's not the other who disturbs you, it's you, who still hasn't learned to rule yourself. Because for him, power wasn't something you wielded outwardly. Real power starts within, and there is no weaker king than the one who loses his composure over someone else's behavior. If someone can trigger you with a sentence, if someone can unbalance you by existing, you are not free. You are a puppet in someone else's emotional theater. And the biggest lie? Believing it's always the other person's fault. If they hadn't said that, if they hadn't done that, I'd be fine. That's the ego talking. It creates an illusion of control and then throws tantrums when reality doesn't bend. But Machiavelli didn't teach avoidance. He didn't say, stay away from irritating people. He said, become immune to them. And to do that, you must face a hard truth. No one disrespects you more than your own expectations. You expect others to think like you, act like you, speak like you, love like you. You expect strangers to meet invisible standards. You expect the world to treat you with the exact level of awareness you think you deserve. And when they don't, you burn. But that fire comes from inside, from the story in your head, not the facts outside. Drop the story and you drop the suffering. Not because you become passive, but because you become untouchable. Machiavelli would say, a ruler who flinches at every offense loses the respect of his people. But worse, he loses his own center. And you, even if you're not royalty, must live by the same law. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not everything deserves your emotional signature. When someone provokes you, pause and ask yourself, what part of me was expecting something different? What unmet need am I projecting onto this person? Because the moment you ask that, irritation becomes insight, and insight is always power. Why does it hurt when they don't recognize you? Why do you get restless when they don't say your name, don't thank you, don't applaud? It's not because they failed you. It's because deep down, you still need to be seen. You still crave validation. Still chase approval dressed up as respect. Machiavelli sat across from me once, at least in my mind, calm, unmoved, sipping wine like blood. And he said, the one who needs to be acknowledged has already lost power, because he just handed control of his peace to someone else. If one opinion can destroy your equilibrium, If one absence of praise can break your day, if one indifferent look can make you question your worth, then you're not free. You're someone else's emotional property. It doesn't matter how much you meditate, how many books you read, how smart or self-aware you think you are. If you don't cut that invisible cord between your worth and their recognition, you will stay soft on the inside. Charismatic maybe, well-intentioned maybe, but breakable. Because one comment can shake you, one silence can shrink you, one rejection can turn you to dust. Machiavelli didn't judge that, but he warned me. The strongest prince isn't the most loved. It's the one who no longer needs to be. That's what you must build. A bond with yourself so deep, so quiet, so dense, that no external opinion can move you an inch without your permission. Because the one who craves to be loved becomes addicted to signs, to the tone of a message, to the tag that never came, to the applause that felt a bit too small. And every time you look outward for proof of your worth, you open a crack in your inner foundation. Through that crack slips everything: irritation, frustration, comparison, social anxiety, disguised as sensitivity. And then you say things like, "That person makes me feel bad." But it's not the person. It's your unmet need, your unresolved hunger, your broken mirror. Machiavelli didn't demand coldness. He demanded clarity. He wanted you to ask, why am I really asking for this attention? What wound is speaking through my desire to be recognized? Because true validation can't be begged for. It must be embodied. And you don't embody it by yelling affirmations into a mirror. You do it by noticing with brutal honesty every time your mood changes depending on how someone treats you. Every time someone's indifference ruins your day. And then choosing, do I keep giving that power away, or do I take it back? Because the moment you take it back, everything changes. What used to hurt now just informs. What used to break you now reveals you. What used to be a drug becomes just background noise. The one who no longer needs to be validated no longer reacts from emptiness. And when you stop reacting, you stop bleeding, you stop begging, you stop bending, because the one who has already chosen himself never waits to be chosen by others, and the one who never begs is finally free. One of the deepest roots of your discomfort is your attachment to how you want to be seen. You want them to see you a certain way, to speak about you with fairness, to treat you with consistency, to remember you as you imagined. And when they don't, you tense, you overthink, you break. That's why Machiavelli once whispered to me, not with pity, but with surgical clarity, real power isn't in defending your image. Real power is in not needing to. If you keep trying to hold your reputation with your bare hands, if you keep begging to be understood, to be seen in the right light, you become a servant to the opinions of others. And that's the most dangerous game. Because you can have truth, you can have talent, you can have integrity. But if you still believe your value depends on being recognized for it, you are manipulable. You can be praised into obedience, shamed into silence, pulled into performance. Machiavelli would say, detach from the image and you become untouchable. Because those who no longer protect their ego become indestructible. That's not coldness, that's authority. It's looking judgment in the face and saying, I can survive even if you misunderstand me. I can continue even if you don't thank me. I can stand even if you don't respect me. That's not weakness. That's command. Because once you stop defending your image, you start projecting a new presence, the kind of presence that makes people pause. Not because you're loud, but because your silence is no longer insecure. It's no longer seeking approval. It has become its own gravity. And something strange happens. When you stop obsessing over how you're perceived, the world sees you more clearly. Your calm becomes influence. Your distance becomes magnetism. Your detachment becomes power. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're no longer available to be moved by every external opinion. Machiavelli respected the ones who could remain silent when everyone else was begging for attention. He respected those who didn't defend themselves automatically, but watched in silence and remembered everything. Because when you stop trying to control the narrative, you begin to see clearly who is real, who is just using you, and who only claps when you play the role they need you to play. That clarity is only possible when your worth is no longer rented out to the room you're in. So if you want to stop feeling irritated, unstable, off balance, then let go of the need to be liked, to be praised, to be understood. Observe instead, because the one who's always defending gets tired. And you were not born to exhaust yourself defending an identity that never needed protection. You were born to build a presence so solid, so still, so whole, that misunderstanding becomes irrelevant. That, Machiavelli would say, is the beginning of true rule. The world won't stop being chaotic. People won't stop acting from their shadows. They will still lie, still provoke, still forget. But you no longer have to be part of that dance. You can choose to become untouchable, not as punishment, but as liberation. Not from coldness, but from a deeper kind of respect. A respect that starts with you, a silence that holds its ground, a peace so well built, so architected, that no insult can crack its walls. Because this was never about being liked. It was about no longer being owned. Machiavelli once said to me, "A prince who guards his peace with strategy becomes a fortress, one that no storm can shake, because it no longer reacts, it reigns." So if something in this message struck you, if a truth in here opened a door in your mind, then don't run from it. Sit with it. Write to it. Let it reshape you. And if you're ready to burn the mask, if you're ready to stop pretending, leave your mark below. Tell me what this message ignited. Tell me which part of you was pierced. Because this space is not for entertainment, it's for remembering. And if you stayed until the end, you already know it wasn't by accident. This was a meeting between you and your next version. I'll see you in the next confrontation. Not lighter, not easier, but deeper. Because you didn't come here to be passive. You came here to wake up.